Hi guys, welcome to the webinar series Manufacturing for Education. Today we're going to be looking at the Wazer desktop waterjet cutter. We're just going to wait a few more moments for people to join and then we'll get underway. Perfect. So before we get started, I just wanted to mention two other webinars that we're going to be running. The second one in the series is going to be on Volterra PCB, which is a PCB printer. That'll be on the 24th of August at 2 p.m. as well. And then on the Pocket NC, which is one of my favourites, which is the desktop 5-axis CNC machine we've got, which we've got a lot of existing customers in education, and that is going to be on the 31st of August at the same time at 2 p.m. So I just wanted to quickly go over the agenda for today. So I'm going to give you a quick introduction to Wazer, the specs of the machine, and what you can expect from it. We're going to have a Wazer demo from our colleagues at Wazer. We're then going to look at a specific educational case study that they've put together. We're going to have an introduction to the Wazer guided projects. This is a really good way of getting the Wazer into your curriculums. Super easy, pre-built projects with guided instructions to make it much easier once you buy the machine to get to grips with it and sort of get students using the machine. And then we're going to go over the cost of the machine, so just looking at how much the machine costs, sort of typical running costs, that sort of thing. And then we're going to look at the support and guidance that we can give you at SolidPrint 3D and with Wazers. So what is Wazer? Wazer is the first waterjet cutter on the market that is suitable for a desktop. It runs off two mains power sockets and is much more accessible to the wider industry and also education. It's safe and accessible. So as you can see, it's fully enclosed, has lots of different safety switches and safety measures in to make it perfect for sort of initial waterjet cutting use. It's also very versatile, so can cut a wide range of materials, as we'll see sort of later on in the presentation, but is not limited to sort of one particular group of materials or strength of materials. It is fully enclosed, as I mentioned before, so the lid opens up, so you get a nice easy access to the machine. But once it's closed, that should keep all the water inside, so that it's sort of mess free. And it is also very compact, so previous existing customers and existing educational institutes have been able to put these in areas that they've never been able to put a more conventional waterjet cutter or industrial waterjet cutter. So just to cover the specs of the machine, we have a cutting area of 305 by 460 millimeters. So this is the area that the waterjet nozzle can reach with the gantry. It is the bed that goes in the machine is slightly larger at 330 by 485 millimeters, and the curve, which is the width of the waterjet beam, is 1.2 millimeters. This does slightly depend on what you'll actually see on the cut, and that sort of depends on the hardness of the material, but we can discuss that further in more detail if required. The inlet and the outlets, so it just requires normal tap water pressure, and then just an outlet, so either a drain into a sink or something like that. And then it runs off, as I said before, two main sockets. And there are two versions of the machine available. Basically a desktop version, which is this one without the legs, and then a freestanding unit as well. Just going to give you a quick overview of a few example materials that we've had great success cutting on the Wazer. One of the main one being stainless steel. Stainless steel is a very hard material, hard to work with traditionally in workshops and things like that. With the Waterjet cutter in the Wazer, it's super easy. It is one of the harder materials, so we'll have slightly longer cut times, but it is a very safe and versatile way of cutting things out of stainless steel, which is a very useful and very hard wearing material. Marble is another one. I can see plenty of applications of this in art and design, or sort of much more aesthetic applications, or potentially research applications. Glass, we've got a few customers using these for sort of small manufacturing, but the ability to be able to cut a hole in a pane of glass is quite a unique skill, particularly other sort of arts and crafts industries using it as well, for things like stained glass and things like that. HDPE, and that's just one example of plastic, but basically any thermoset or thermo plastic can be cut on the Wazer, and these often come out with really nice surface finishes as well, with no burning or deburring required, which you potentially might have to do if you were to cut on a laser cutter. Carbon fibre, this is quite a big one. It really helps you create some really lightweight parts with cutting sheets of carbon fibre. And then another example, as I mentioned before, you can cut some very soft materials as well, such as silicons or rubbers. We're now just going to go into a demo from the guys at Wazer, so I'm just going to, without further ado, pass over to them.
I'll show you the machine today from top to bottom and all of its basic components. Now, in addition to that, I'll also show you a cut live so you can see how the Wazer works cutting. And while the cut's running, I'll even demonstrate the software for you. At the end, we'll look at the finished cut and additional projects using various materials. Wazer's story begins as research out of the University of Pennsylvania. Our goal was to take traditional waterjet technology and scale it down with more easily accessible components. Where a large format waterjet might require 3-phase wall power and a 2 to 3 week training course to maintain and operate, our Wazer was built to run on a standard single-phase power connection and uses a faucet or a sink for water connection. Now in 2016, we launched our Kickstarter campaign where we raised $1.3 million worth of pre-orders. We took that seed money and launched Wazer as a company, and we started shipping out Wazers in 2017 and 2018 all over North and South America. In 2019, we launched our 220 version and started shipping all over Europe and Asia and Australia. Since then, we're very happy to say we have almost 2,000 Wazers all over the world. Now let's take a closer look at the Wazer and all of its basic components. Now what we're looking at here is the Wazer main unit. Here is where the cutting occurs, as well as the abrasive collection systems and water circulation systems. As we go down, we'll see that the Wazer has a stand leg accessory. This is optional, but the stand leg accessory is a great way to make your machine a freestanding unit, as well as a shelf to hold and organize your materials and tools. Now at the bottom, you'll see here we have the pump box, which is the heart of the machine. It takes your water connection and creates high pressure water that's fed up to the nozzle. As it goes through the nozzle, it's pushed through a ruby orifice, and that's what focuses the beam into the mixing chamber. From there, we have this secondary hose, which introduces a garnet abrasive sand to the stream. From there, that abrasive slurry is mixed and pushed through a carbide nozzle, which performs the high pressure cutting stream. Now let's take a look at the cutting bed a little bit. This bed is a 12-inch by 18-inch cutting extent. The bed is made of a hard polypropylene plastic. You'll see it's corrugated, and that's to serve two purposes. First, it's very easy to fasten your material down using standard wood screws that you could fasten into any part of the bed. The second purpose is to help dampen that water pressure. As you cut your material, you will also cut through the bed, and that's intended. As you make your cuts, the abrasives collected at the bottom of the tank, and using 4 venturis it'll push that spent abrasive slurry into the collection buckets at the front of your unit. On the side of the machine, you'll see that we have an abrasive hopper. Here is where you pour your fresh garnet abrasive sand. Our machine uses 80 mesh garnet abrasive. We use this because it's the same standard as the large format water jets. It's very easily sourced, and it's a natural inert stone, so it's safe to toss in your regular garbage. You'll see that the Wazer has a fully closed environment for operation, so you can watch your cuts while they happen live and not worry about getting wet. The operation of the Wazer is done from this button navigation system in the screen, and we even have an emergency stop. If you press this, it'll shut off the entire power to the machine. That's a basic overview of the Wazer and all of its components. Now let's go ahead and prepare our cut today. Here you see I've got some 6061 aluminum, 16 gauge thickness. We're going to go ahead and place it right at the center of the cut bed here. Next, we're going to go ahead and use the screw fasteners to place it into the center, screw down into the bed to fasten our sheet down. Here we're just using a standard hand drill to put these wood screws into the bed. And then I try and push it around to make sure it's fastened down. As long as it doesn't move, we're good to go. Next, we need to level the nozzle height. To do this, we grab the nozzle, and on top of it is the level gauge. We seat this right on the aluminum, loosen our nozzle, and lift the nozzle and seat it right on the lip. This is the recommended distance you want between your nozzle head and the material. When done, place it right back on top. Now our nozzle is ready to go. You could also use this time to ensure that you don't have any screws sticking out too far. You don't want any obstructions to run into your Wazer nozzle during the cut. Next, we're going to go ahead and perform a dry run. A dry run is a feature built into the Wazer that allows you to perform a cut without actually turning the machine on. Right now you see that the nozzle is traveling the intended path. This is a great way to check by eye to ensure that it's traveling on the correct part of your material. If you need to, you can also change the origin at any point here using the arrows on the machine. Let's close our lid and get started on the cut. Let's go ahead and take a look at the software portion of this demonstration. Wazer uses a software called WAN, which is our CAM software, and allows you to take your design and turns it into a finished G-code file that the machine can read. Now our software accepts any design in DXF or SVG format. Here we are uploading our DXF design that we'll be cutting today. You'll see when we select the design, we can place it anywhere on the virtual cut bed, and it can move freely. For example, if we want to cut on the top left of the bed, we'll place it up here. The grids on the bed mimic the grid on the physical bed. In the same way, if I want to move the design to the bottom right of the grid here, that's where it'll cut on the cut bed. The first step also allows you to do simple things like nesting. Nesting is a great way to copy your design for short-run production of parts. You'll see that we can freely move each individual piece. In the second step, we can do some other alterations, like rotation, location, and scaling of our design. This is a great way to do some last-minute changes to your design outside of the design software. In step 3, we take a look at the materials profile list. Here, we have a list of common materials our customers are cutting at different thicknesses. What a material profile is a list of materials at different thicknesses where we've performed a cut rate test. Let's take a look, for example, here at some aluminum that we're cutting today. Here you'll see we have labeled a pierce time, as well as a rough, medium, and fine edge setting. As we go thicker, the cut times reduce to compensate for edge quality. Once we select our material profile, then we can go to the cutting path. Let's take a look at step 4. In step 4, this is where we choose our cutting path. One thing we have to take into consideration is the curve of the water beam, or the thickness of the water beam. If I cut on center line, I'm not compensating for the thickness of the beam, so instead I'll choose an outside cut. The software intuitively knows to offset the water beam to the outer profile, and because that circle and that pierce in the center are closed profiles, the inverse happens, and that cuts on the inside. This is a great way to achieve different tolerances on your pieces. Here you'll see we're adding tabs and leads. A tab is a little bridge of material that keeps your pieces organized together, so it doesn't cut all the way through. You can change the location of your tabs, and you can also change the size of your tabs, or have no tabs at all. Here you'll see we're changing the size of the tab, and you can also place any number of tabs anywhere on the piece. Once you get to step 6, here's where you could choose your cut quality. A coarse cut quality will be a faster cut than a medium or a fine. We give you the opportunity to organize how you want your pieces cut and to what edge quality. 3.5 minutes for this example to cut a coarse edge quality and get your piece out in a faster time. If we choose a fine setting, you'll see that it takes longer to cut, but is going to provide a much better edge quality to your piece. From here, you can name your file and hit Generate Job File, and this will produce a finished G-code file that downloads to your computer. Now let's go ahead and come back to our cut here. And as you see, we're finishing up our cut. As you cut with the Wazer, it's not uncommon for abrasive to sometimes collect on top of your sheet material. For this reason, we say to use materials that are fine sitting in the water for extended periods of time. And now our piece is cut completely loose, pushed out by the water pressure a bit here.
Brilliant, I hope you enjoyed that quick demo. We're now going to show you a case study video that the guys at Wazer put together as well, explaining how the University of Colorado Boulder has been using the Wazer.
My name is Bobby Hodgkinson. I'm an instructor at the Smead Aerospace Engineering Department. We're here at CU Boulder today in the new Aerospace Engineering building. Specifically, we're in the machine shop where the students will do their hands-on fabrication for prototyping, final production parts. The students are building anything ranging from CubeSats to weather balloon satellite payloads, unmanned aerial systems, unmanned aerial vehicles, robots, anything that you can imagine that happens in industry, the students are fully capable of prototyping and manufacturing in these facilities. So we're really excited to hear about Wazer and the small, affordable desktop-sized water jets when we were looking at equipment for our new building. We knew we were going to purchase some laser cutters, but we were also hoping to purchase a machine that could cut harder material, so aluminum, carbon fiber, things that our students work with quite often, but are something that you need more advanced training than to just put it on a laser cutter. We fully expect the Wazer to take a tremendous load off of our traditional milling machines, specifically for the 2.5D parts where the students just need to cut out a shape, drill some holes, something pretty simple and straightforward. We do a lot of our parts with 1/8 inch aluminum, 1/4 inch aluminum. We're getting more into pre-preg carbon fiber, fabricated things like that.
Being in a student prototype environment, the students come up with everything. Their palette of tools is open to everything. So we need to be able to meet that need and cut into everything. A water jet fills that need. The cool part about this water jet, as opposed to others, that we're all huge, these monstrous things. This desktop footprint and size is just perfect for us.
What we typically do is build a DXF in SolidWorks. We'll move that over to WAM, follow the steps. They're really simple. You know, do you need a tab? Do you not need a tab? Do you want to lead in? Do you don't want to lead in? It's all binary options. You choose what you want and then you take it to the machine and follow the setup procedure. So WAM makes it really easy to go from a line drawing to a program. Yeah, I think the quickest I've gone is about 45 seconds on a program. This gasket was designed to go on a small satellite that's going to go up into orbit, and the ability to cut soft, flexible materials like this is something that we have always struggled with our other machines. So we got an ability that we didn't even know we were getting, and it's a great ability.
I hope you found that video really useful. It's one of my favourite videos that Wazer's produced. Okay, now we'd just like to go on to the guided project. As I mentioned when we first started the webinar, this is a really big and I feel a really useful addition that Wazer is offering to help get this product into education and get it off the ground straight away. So there's a number of different courses at 3 different levels. The first one being beginner. So this, you can see here is an example there. It's a very simple part, looking at basically just getting to grips with how we operate the machine. We then can move on to the intermediate level, which is a bit more hands-on, introducing a few more tools and post-processing methods to actually assemble a part at the end of it. And then we have advanced courses, so this may involve some more electronic tools for post-processing, or just a greater number of components. As you can see there, as one of the examples of the projects that they've got. Okay, so just to touch on the pricing briefly, at the time of filming there's 2 variants at 2 different prices. So the desktop, which is designed to go on a tabletop or a bench top, is £8,250 excluding VAT, and then there is the freestanding unit, which is £9,000 excluding VAT. All of these machines will come with, however, some additional items which is really useful. So there's 50 kilograms of abrasive included, a Wazer toolkit and manual as well. Both of these are really useful, and the manual is perfect for diagnosing anything wrong with the machine, or getting a quick refresher on how to do something. It's a really in-depth manual that you can keep next to your machine to keep up on top of that. There is also a Wazer toolkit. So this has tools specifically selected to help operate the machine. So it's a bit more of a stripped down toolkit, but only the tools that you'll need to operate the machine, which is a really nice addition. Makes it very easy to use the machine and operate and do any maintenance as required. Then there are two elements, as probably mentioned. The 2 elements that will need replacing over time, that will wear out, is the cut bed. So as you cut your material, you'll cut through that eventually will need replacing, but you do get a set of cut beds with the machine, and then you also get a cut head, which is basically the nozzle and the assembly above it, which wears out over time due to the abrasive and the water pressure. So that will need replacing, but these consumables does work out to normally about a year's worth of consumables that you're getting for free with the machine. So hopefully for the first year you shouldn't have to worry about any sort of ongoing consumable costs. I'd just like to touch on the support and guidance that SolidPrint 3D will give you if you were to purchase a Wazer from us. We can offer on-site installation and training, so we'll come down, help you set up your machine, get it all running and get you cutting on the same day, and then go through all your technicians or other staff that require training up on the machine, so that you leave feeling confident on how to use the machine. If you ever did need a top-up, or there was any specific technical questions, we have a telephone helpline and an email helpline that's available 9 to 5, 5 days a week, and the guys in there are really good, really helpful, and they should be able to get you get your problem solved as quickly as possible. So you'll be speaking to a real person. It's not a sort of an automated system or anything like that. And for anyone who's an existing SolidPrint 3D customer, I'm sure you can vouch for how good the technical support service is that we offer. Okay, so this is bringing us back towards the end of our webinar. I just wanted to highlight, as I mentioned at the start of the video, we have got the Volterra PCP webinar as well on the 24th of August, and the Pocket NC webinar on the 31st of August as well. I look forward to seeing you guys there. Perfect. Well, thanks for watching and listening. I hope you found that really useful, and it's given you some information, and you've come away learning more about Wazer than you knew before. There's my email address there if you do have any questions and want to reach out to me. Feel free to do that, and I'll be happy to help in any way I can. And then yeah, open the floor up to any questions if you guys have got any.